welcome to Let's Talk Diz, a show that gives you everything you need to know to help make your Disney vacation as magical as can be in just about 20 minutes. I'm your host, Jeff Coviello. With me each week is Disney Master Sandy from Easy Diz by Instant Impressions Travel Services. Sandy, how you doing this week?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm excited to talk about tonight's show because just like you, I get a lot of people that, talk to me about things that they know about Disney World. And it's like, okay, great. So, tonight we're going to talk about some of the things that we hear constantly about planning a trip to Walt Disney World that we just know are not true, and we'd hate to see people think that they're true when they arrive.
This is the worst of Facebook advice and the worst of talking on the playground when you're picking your kid up to somebody who hasn't been to Disney in 20 years and is giving you advice that maybe they never even tried what they're telling you. Maybe they read something somewhere, but we're going to kind of walk through all of these bizarre things that I hear all the time so that you can get the true idea of what to expect.
And you and I were talking about them before we started recording today, and there was one that I'm still going to crack up at when you get to it towards the end of the show, because you're right, it's the social media opinions and frame of mind. You don't know who the heck is sitting behind the keyboard making those comments then, so it's difficult to trust. You can trust what we're going to say here. We do have the Disney Master on here. I've been at Disney millions of times, so I promise you what you're hearing here tonight is going to debunk some of these things and give you the truth. But let's start with something that we like to have a lot on our show, and we're going to talk about food first. We're getting
this reputation. We're not talking about parks. We've become foodies.
That's right. We're going to talk about the food first because I think there's a lot that's tied into your dining experience with a Walt Disney World vacation. And I know a lot of people have a lot of things that they say, you have to go here, you need to go there, you can go here, you should do this. But let's start with the meals.
We're going to give my top 3 food misconceptions.
Yeah.
I have a dining reservation, so I don't need a park ticket.
Right. So if you're eating at Garden Grill in Epcot, you don't need a ticket because you have the reservation.
If you're going into a park, every person needs a ticket. And right in line with that, this misconception that you can get a shopping pass to run in just for an hour. How are they ever going to find you after that hour? If you want to enter any park, you need a ticket. The one exception before somebody writes me, they know how to get in without a ticket. If you are there with a group for a special event, they can pay a limited fee for you to be walked into the event and walked right back out. But otherwise, every person needs a ticket.
Yes, essentially because of what you just said there. Once your reservation has come and gone, how are they making sure that you're not staying in the park? Like it's a completely insane assertion. Yes, if you have a dining reservation and you have not gotten a park ticket, you're going to pay that cancellation fee on your dining reservation because you're not getting there, right? You're just not going to get there.
And my other favorite when it comes to dining reservations, I get asked very often about character meals and the idea that when you are sitting down to dinner, the character is literally sitting down at the table with you.
Not
I'm
always.
not sure why they think Mickey is eating from the buffet with you, or there's enough time or space for Mickey or the princesses or any of the other characters to sit at any of the tables or all of the tables. Could you imagine if they sat with your kids, Jeff, and not with mine?
That wouldn't go over very well, no.
The characters rotate from table to table. They will wave. They will talk to you for a minute. If they are a face character that speaks, they will do a photo. They will do an autograph, but they will not sit down and dine with you.
No. And listen, depending upon the dining experience, depending upon how crowded it is, you're getting more, you're getting less time. That's just the reality. The economy of their time is based on how many people are in the dining experience at that time.
It is, but I will also go a little off script here and tell you from one of our old shows, if you want to maximize the time that the character spends with you, do something to get them to spend time with you. If your child loves to draw, let them draw a picture of anything, the character, Disney, and show it to them. We've been known to bring some special treats. If Pluto or Goofy are going to be there, we bring a dog bone. We've bought peanuts for Chip and Dale. a little pot of honey for Pooh Bear,
Sure.
something that they will, even if they're not a speaking character like Pooh Bear, he ran around Crystal Palace getting other characters and character friends to see what we brought him, rubbing his tummy, very excited. So you can really add to your character experience, but they are not sitting down with you.
This last one is one of mine, and I know it's one of yours too because we talk about it constantly. It's not just about hamburgers and chicken fingers and French fries in Walt Disney World. And a little anecdote is, one of a friend of my daughter's, their family went for not their first time, and they were like, "Oh, I was just so busy," and they were throwing a fit. So we just went, we got them a hot dog. I was like, well, why? Like 10 steps down, there's something that's not a hot dog. Like, you don't have to have chicken fingers, French fries, hot dogs. Like, that's not what we're about. And we've done plenty of shows where we've talked about all sorts of award-winning restaurants on property.
We've got Michelin star restaurants,
right.
7 James Beard award-winning restaurants, and some of those James Beard restaurants are fast food. They're not all sit-down.
Correct.
There's so many great options. Yes, sometimes you will see the hamburger first, but again, pre-planning, or I know you don't want to hear this, Jeff, making better use of your app.
Sure. Yeah.
Will get you way more than a hamburger and chicken fingers.
And listen, sometimes,
especially 3 meals a day, 7 days.
Correct. And look, I'm not judging a hamburger. Sometimes a hamburger is what you want and what you need. But the fact that you can default to it and say there was nothing else, I'm sorry, you're not right. There's a ton. There's a ton there.
There's a ton. And again, in quick service, you do think of hamburgers and chicken fingers when you think about non-reservations, grab and go kind of thing. But they have Chinese, they have French, they have fish and chips, Japanese, tacos. There's so many options. Obviously, I end up with a lot of pizza. I'm a pizza person. But again, fast food can still be fast food and still be good and be beyond hamburgers and chicken fingers.
All right, let's segue over to the Disney resorts, right? What are some of the misconceptions that you constantly hear?
I'm right there on property, so I should be able to leave my room and be in any park in under 10 minutes.
I hope that's the case for you.
Not likely. I can think of like 2 instances in my life when that has actually happened.
Yeah. And they were without children, I'm sure.
They were without children. You are correct. What I say to people who've never been to Disney, forgetting for a minute the size of Walt Disney World, we talk a lot about, thinking about if you're in your house and you're going to go to the grocery store, how long does it take you to get your car keys and be in your car? Most of you, the answer is going to be 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Most of you are not just 2 or 3 minutes away from the bus stop or the monorail stop. Because each Disney hotel is on the large side, it could take minutes to walk there. Then again, when we talk about people who say to me, well, I'll drive instead. It's not like going to ShopRite and you might get the first spot and be really lucky. But if you're unlucky and you get that last spot, you're like 20 cars away. Well, do you know how hard it is to be less than 20 cars from the entrance at any of the Disney parks?
Almost impossible.
So,
yes.
Just the time it takes to load and unload a bus versus your family getting in and out of a car. The fact that you're going to go through a security line, and if you're unlucky, it's going to beep, and it may be your umbrella or your cell phone that made it beep because you didn't read the sign. It's not a quick process, unfortunately. Disney recommends that you always allow an hour and a half anytime you're traveling. We talk to people because there are some times it will be that. But again, there are plenty of instances where I say to people 25 minutes to half an hour is much more realistic. Maybe you're walking across the street from the Contemporary to the Magic Kingdom. You're not having to wait on anything and you're walking. It's easy. But you're not right there because Disney is 28 square miles, larger than Manhattan, larger than Chicago. So end to end, you can't always be in the right spot.
Yes, I would say the I'm right there line applies to maybe about 15 rooms in the beach club.
And with that, it goes with one of my other favorite things.
Right.
I have rented a place that is right at the gate.
Oh, good.
Well, the gate is not a real thing, first of all.
No. no.
And
It's
you
lovely
can
though. It's
enter
beautiful.
Disney property in so many different places. You've seen those signs, those big arches, welcome to Disney.
Yes.
Unless I'm missing something, that's not the attraction I'm going to.
No.
So, yes, I may have rented a condo that is 2 minutes from the Disney property. But then I get on property and I've got that 28 square miles. And so now I've still got to drive from the gate
Yes.
to the theme park.
And park. And get on a tram.
And get in. It is tough.
Right. Yeah. There's a lot. So I think that the basic bottom line is, staying on property, even in the closest resorts, even in the highest cost resort you're going to find, to assume that you are going to be in a park 10 minutes from your room, probably not accurate. Wouldn't go that way.
Definitely not accurate.
So I want to segue to something that we've talked a lot about over the last number of years, and that's the extras that get added on to your typical park experience, right? All the theme parks throughout the country, probably throughout the world, not only are you buying your basic ticket to get into the park, but then there's different add-ons that can add to your experience. Disney's no exception. We're coming out of Genie, going into our Lightning Lane A and B, essentially. So talk to us about some of these extras and the fact that people are saying, look, it's just really expensive to add on to these.
It can be really expensive. I'm not going to lie about that. But I'm also going to say you don't need everything that they're offering. That's number one. Just like when you make your resort choice. Might be nice to stay at a deluxe resort. Many people opt to stay at a deluxe resort. But many people also save money and stay at a value.
Right.
A lot of these add-ons are the same way. And while I would like to think that Disney is better than some of these other places, we know now that they offer that individual Lightning Lane, which can be up to $30, though unless you're there Christmas week, we're finding it averages anywhere from $13 to $19. And then you can buy that Lightning Lane multi-pass, again, up to $30, but we see it typically between about $18 and $24. So even at the full price, we're talking $60 a day a person, which I don't want to downplay that. For a family of four, that's $240 a day.
Yeah, it's not a small
If you're
amount of money.
there for 7 days, you're looking at $1,500 extra. What I'm going to say is a couple of things. A, I don't think you need all of it every day. And we do a lot of work with our clients to go over how to make those choices and how to get a lot of value without buying all of them. But I think, unfortunately, it's also, what is everybody else doing? So, again, Disney is a maximum of that $60. Universal, right down the road, $90 to $349 is their max, depending on crowds.
Jesus.
It is once per ride, just like Disney, but it is no reservations. You can walk right up. But hey, I'd rather pay $60 than $349 per person.
Yes.
If you're a Jersey person like Jeff and I, this was shocking to me when I looked this up today. Those of you who are Six Flags fans, Six Flags New Jersey, $140 to $200 a person. Are they out of their mind?
That is one great adventure. Oh my gosh.
It is. Again, if you're in the New Jersey and Pennsylvania area, very popular Sesame Place, starting at $59. So same price for Sesame Place as for Disney. And I'll tell you, Disney's open way more hours in a day than Sesame Place. This one leaves me wondering. SeaWorld, right across SeaWorld Orlando. Here's a big range for you. Their cheapest day of the year is $14.99, and you do get unlimited access. Their top day is $129.99.
It's like a decimal error.
Yeah, you do wonder.
Yeah, that's wild.
Sticking to Florida, Busch Gardens, Florida, $30 to $170 per day. Except they also, similar to Disney's Single Pass, leave out the most popular ride. So while it can be a big add-on, again, I don't think you need it, and it's not something that they're leading the pack on. They're kind of the later comer to the game and the lower price to the game. It doesn't necessarily hurt your wallet any less. But, as somebody who looks at a single day going to Great Adventure to spend time with my family, Great Adventure starts at 2.5 times what Disney starts, what Disney ends at.
And you know the book I'm writing is How to Do Disney Without Your Phone and Without Your Add-ons. So
I thought how to figure out to charge people for, entering your line. I think that's, my grandfather would be laughing all the way to the bank.
Crazy.
You charge them to get in and then you charge them to stand on line.
It's awesome. Good for them.
My sister used to work at a place where you had to buy the clothing that they sold. And my grandfather used to say, I'm going to open a store, but the only people that can shop there are the employees because they have to wear the outfits all the time. And I'm going to be a rich man.
It's a racket.
It is a racket. But the next thing connected to the parks that we also hear about is I have to buy magic bands. And listen, again, if you've been a Disney person for years, magic bands used to be free. Then magic bands were $10. Now, there's occasionally a sale for a $15 magic band. They're usually $20, and they go up to $45. Magic bands are convenient. I am not going to say they aren't, but you don't have to buy one. You can get either, if you're an off-site guest, just a regular plastic key card that is your ticket, and an on-site guest, again, you can get that plastic card that is your room key and your park admission. It does mean you have to take the card out every time, but guess what? We all did that 20 years ago. We can all do it again today.
We can also connect it to your phone, which this will surprise you. That's a feature that I do use. I do use it connected to my phone.
I will say it's one of the features that is not 100% available on all the options that the Magic Band or the plastic key can do.
Sure.
So while you can do it on your phone, I'm not a huge fan of that being your only source. For clients that are connecting it to their phone, I always suggest you get the plastic key as a backup. Much easier to get the plastic key and not need it than need it and not have it.
100%. Great advice. So look, as you know, and as some of our listeners know, if they've been loyal and listened from the beginning, my wife and I are avid runners. We've run a number of Run Disney races. And so there's always some talk about Run Disney, people that are going to go run the marathon, run the wine and dine, and they're going to go do a trip beforehand so that they can get used to the course and do some practice. That's a bad idea.
And that was me many years ago before my Run Disney failed attempt where I injured myself at that 9-mile mark.
Sure.
You cannot do a practice run.
No.
You will be very surprised if you don't know this. Next time you're on Disney property, take a look. There are no shoulders. When the Run Disney events happen, they literally close the road down. They do not put shoulders because they don't want people walking on the roadways. And if you try to walk on the grass or on the roadway, I assure you, you will be picked up. So people who say to me, I can walk from Pop Century to Caribbean Beach. You go out and walk on the grass. No, that's not how it works. There are no shoulders. Do not run. Do not walk.
But I will say, if you are somebody that's training for either a Run Disney race or a different race, there are plenty of places throughout property, throughout different resorts, where you can get a nice run in that doesn't require you to have to go onto the road, which is what we're talking about. If you look at the maps for these Run Disney races,
correct.
It's
and
about
they
a road
have
race.
Run trails at many of the resorts.
Yes.
You just won't get the same experience to know exactly what your race course is going to be. But
Right.
Again, I will tell you, that is one thing that online I have a lot of faith in. Before I did my run, I found a discussion of the race course. You will go 1 mile and then it's a 0.2 mile uphill.
Yeah.
Then a 0.3 mile downhill. Then the road narrows. Then the road widens. Then you're in a park. Then you're in a parking lot. So you can get that visual by reading about the race course that's put out by people not through Disney, but people who have run that course themselves.
Yeah, my wife's done one of those, so we'll send you. We'll put that in the show notes. You can go check that out. This is one that I get a lot, and I know you get a lot as a travel specialist. That there's no benefit to staying on property. And I just, at a certain point, I just kind of tune out.
I'm not going to talk about all the reasons that I don't think you should stay off site, but I'm going to literally answer your question and talk about the values in staying on site. And the biggest one now is the current change with lightning lane single pass and lightning lane multi pass.
Right.
I'm gonna have to practice saying that 50 times fast.
Yeah, good luck.
That is the new ride reservation system where you will be able to make 3 reservations 7 days in advance if you are an on-site guest with certain park tickets.
Right.
It is the majority of park tickets. And you'll be able to make those reservations for your whole stay. If you're an off-site guest, you can make them 3 days in advance. And again, like we've talked about with dining, because they don't know how long you're staying, you're going to have to make those reservations 1 day at a time.
Right.
And when you say, well, I still get to make them before I go, who cares? I'm going to tell you who cares. Because if you've read anything about what used to be Genie that is now Lightning Lane, the single and multi-pass, what you're reserving is specific return times for attractions. So if lots and lots of people have been making them for 4 days before you can start to make yours, you're not going to get a 9 o'clock, a 10 o'clock, and an 11 o'clock multi-use pass.
No.
You might get a 1, a 2, and a 3. And so all morning, you're going to have to stand on standby lines. You're going to get less rides a day out of your multi-pass. And there are going to be rides, I guarantee you, whether you're talking single lane or multi-pass, that by the time it opens to off-site guests will be sold out. And I think that's going to be the biggest benefit to staying on site that we're going to see. But again, we talked a minute ago about not having to buy all those extras. And there's 2 great ways around buying some of those things and still getting a lot of your rides in. All on-site guests right now get into every park 30 minutes early every single day. And if you're a deluxe resort guest, there are 2 nights where you get to stay in a park 2 hours late. 2 hours in the Magic Kingdom with deluxe resort guests only. You really can run through all those rides, get a lot done.
Definitely.
The other thing for on-site guests, we talked also a minute ago about Magic Bands. On-site guests get $10 off your Magic Band purchase, provided you do it through the My Disney Experience account. You do not get that discount if you go directly to Shop Disney.
Okay.
And the last big benefit for staying on site in 2025 is a free first day of arrival water park pass. So maybe it saves you a park day. You could save some big money there.
My kids are looking forward to that. They've been talking about that since it hit the news. They've been talking about that.
And I will say, again, going a little off script, my family is looking at doing a water park for one night at the end of August in New Jersey or Pennsylvania. Man, I was not prepared for what those cost and the number of add-ons they have. I'm looking at $1,200 to $1,600 for an indoor water park. So
crazy.
Give me a free water park day anytime.
I agree. All right. So listen, we're running a little bit long. So let's go through a couple of these really, really quickly. Park admission, right? Obviously, I've now gotten to the point where my kid is too old. They're not free anymore. But people are always saying to you, they'll never know that my child is 4. How would they know? They'll never know they don't live in Florida, or military discount. Like, run through some of those for us.
First of all, don't embarrass yourself that way. Don't teach your child to lie about how old they are. Will Disney ask for a birth certificate? No. Will Disney say to your child, are they 2 or are they 3? No. If they have a doubt how old they are, no different than trying to claim them as a lap child on an airline, Disney will say something like, good morning, princess. You look like such a big girl. You must be 16? We all know this child is not 16, but you tell me any 2, 3, 4, and 5-year-olds that don't put up how many fingers old they are when somebody talks about their age.
Yep.
Not worth embarrassing yourself. Florida resident tickets. Florida resident ID is required. There is a small loophole that grandma and grandpa can bring kids using Florida resident tickets. However, if grandma and grandpa are tired by morning number 3 and they say, go without us, we'll meet you there, your kids won't be able to enter the park that morning. Not worth the savings.
Right.
Same for military.
Okay.
The other one, we all think it's a very funny show. If you watch the middle, they bought tickets to Disneyland and they showed up at Walt Disney World. And if you haven't seen that episode, look for it on YouTube. It's hysterical.
And I lived it. So it does happen.
They say to the family, these are Disneyland tickets. And one of the ways we know it, and they're watching everybody else get in, you see how when they scan their ticket, it beeps? So they look at the next one. Somebody scans it, it goes beep. They look at the next one. So the family says, we can do that. Beep, beep, beep. Yes, it does happen. Walt Disney World is not Disneyland. Those tickets will not get you into the park.
Nope.
So buy the correct park and buy what you want. Tickets, there's base tickets, there's hopper tickets, there's water park tickets. The other thing there is ticket expiration. That's a big thing for off-site guests, not for on-site guests. When you buy a park ticket now, if you buy a 2-day park ticket, it is valid for 4 days from the first day of use. So if you're in Orlando from Saturday to Saturday and you decide you'll go to Disney Monday and Friday with your 2-day ticket, when you get there on Friday, your ticket has expired.
Yeah.
So you want to be careful about use dates.
One thing I want to mention before I kick it to you for anything else is I know that we're at the point right now in my life where my son's not interested in roller coasters. My daughter is. My wife and I are. The rider swap idea, right? People think, if my kid's not old enough or tall enough to ride it or they don't want to ride it, I guess we'll have to sit this one out. There are rider swap opportunities where you can wait online and somebody can ride after, and your whoever in your party doesn't want to ride can exit. It's kind of all over property. So make sure you take advantage of that. Don't think because somebody in your party, whether it's child or adult, doesn't want to ride something that means that your whole party won't have that experience.
And it's one of our favorite things. If you do have 2 children and one is really young and doesn't want to ride, it's great for the older child because the way that rider swap works, the one adult is going to ride with the child that wants to ride while the other adult is out with the child who doesn't.
Yep.
And maybe you're going on a ride, maybe you're rocking them in their stroller, maybe you're in a gift shop. But when it's time for that second adult to ride, that child that wanted to ride gets to ride again.
Yeah.
So it's a great opportunity for them to get that extra time alone with each adult that they're with.
All right. Like I said, we are running a little bit long tonight. Thank you for hanging with us. But is there anything else that you want to mention briefly before we say goodbye?
Oh, you had to say briefly, huh?
I'm trying.
My slightly long-winded one is that we always hear there's nothing to do if you don't go to the parks.
Yeah, that's not true.
And look at some of our old episodes. I think we had a 3-part one of things to do outside the park. Some of them cost money, like mini golf or a water park. Some of them, like riding the monorail, riding the gondolas, riding the boats, are all free. There's a lot of free things to do. There's resort tours and different experiences that are free. There's animal watching opportunities at Animal Kingdom Lodge that are free. So every day doesn't have to be a park day, and there are plenty of things to do.
Definitely.
My other favorite quick misconceptions, and I'll make it quick while Jeff laughs right over me. I read all the time this time of year as we are in the beginning of hurricane season. If you go on a variety of Facebook groups, is it true that the castle was built to go down underground in case of a hurricane? No. The castle does not go down underground. It stays just where it is, as do every other attraction in the park. The only thing that moves when there is a hurricane, certain outdoor furniture will be removed, and signage that is not attached to the building, like there's a lot of signs in Frontierland that are kind of on a little post and swinging, get tied down. But nothing goes underground on its own with a magical button.
No.
The opposite of that, there is no bubble or dome to be used when the park is getting rained on.
Oh,
don't know why we hear that one.
I do that. We do hear
it. There is no bubble.
No.
And I'll make a selfish plug. The last misconception, I don't want to spend for a travel agent who's going to help me with all of these things. Travel agents are commissioned by Disney. The majority of agents don't charge any fee for booking your reservation, helping you with all these tips, planning, avoiding crowds, spending on extras wisely or not at all. So consider working with somebody who isn't, Johnny's brother or the mother on the playground who hasn't gone in 20 years. Talk to somebody who knows what they're talking about.
Well, and that's why we have you every week, because there's nobody that knows more than you. Thank you for sharing your misconceptions that you've heard. I've heard a bunch. They're fun to kind of go through. We take it with a grain of salt, but these are some things that people take at face value. So talk to your travel specialist. Make sure that you are getting the right information. Thanks for giving your opinion this week, Sandy, and I hope you have a great week.
You as well.
And that's a wrap this week on Let's Talk Diz. If anyone you know could benefit from this or any show, please share on your Facebook and Instagram for other Disney fans to enjoy. And don't forget to reach out to the folks at Easy Diz by Instant Impressions Travel Services for Disney destination planning. Make it a great week. And as always, keep making memories.